is Charlie Sykes, MSNBC contributor and editor-in-chief of The Bulwark. Charlie, Republicans have expressed caution. You heard Ron Johnson saying he wasn't particularly happy with it a moment ago, but John Cornyn said he thought it was a dangerous step. Susan Collins doesn't believe in it either. Marco Rubio doesn't think it's a good idea. Is this all talk, or will there be action behind it? Will they vote against the president using these powers?
Well, we've seen them talk and then not do anything in the past, so that's a legitimate question. But I think there's a very real possibility that this will pass both houses, both the House and the Senate. It doesn't take that many Republican votes. And look, there are a lot of reasons why Republicans ought to be concerned about this. Ron Johnson is absolutely right. You are ceding power to the executive. There is the constitutional question of checks and balances. And then, of course, there's also the question of the precedent that would be created. And I think Republicans are genuinely concerned about that, even those that are not concerned about the constitutional and legal niceties of all this. Now, obviously, President Trump would veto any action by Congress, but I do think that it is important for Congress to force him to use that veto. It would be a rebuke of the president. It would be a substantial precedent. And it would be the first time that a substantial number of Republicans have basically said, look, we're willing to go along with you on a lot of things, but not when it comes to fundamental issues like the rule of law and the constitutional balance.
Would they be willing to override that veto?
Well, they ought to be. Look, I'm not so naive to think that they would, but to force President Trump to use his first veto, I think would be significant. It would also be setting down a marker that we're going to go this far and no further. Look, you can be for border security without being for the wall. You can be for the wall without being for the national emergency. And I think that that's where a lot of Republicans are right now. I mean, there are a lot of conservatives that have come out against this. Unfortunately, not the conservatives who necessarily have Donald Trump's ear right now.
Why do Republicans, why would they, if they aren't willing to go as far as overriding a veto, if someone like Mitch McConnell says that they'll support it, why would someone like Mitch McConnell or anybody else be so willing to give up congressional authority, their own power, to support anybody, Democratic, Republican, Independent, whoever, president?
Well, I'm used to being disappointed, but that was stunning.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would you hand over your authority? It's more than disappointment.
Exactly. There ought to be some institutional jealousy, some sense that, look, we're not potted plants here. We are a co-equal branch of government, and things have gone so far. And I think that what you're hearing from Ron Johnson is probably what a lot of Republican senators are saying. How far are we going to go in giving up our own power, our own authority, the Article I power that the Constitution gave to Congress? So that's one of the reasons why I think there is a possibility. And if you have a few Republicans willing to stand up for the institution, for the rule of law, for the Constitution, you might see a mini jailbreak. Look, I'm not saying that they're going to override the veto, but it could be a significant rebuke of the president.
I want to squeeze this in if we can. Here's Stephen Miller on Fox News Sunday and Chris Wallace pushing him on this national emergency.
Answer my question. Can you name one case where a president has asked Congress for money, Congress has refused, and the president has then invoked national powers to get the money anyway?
Well, this current situation...
Just yes or no, sir?
The current situation pertains specifically to the Military Construction Authority.
I'm just asking, has there been a single case where Congress asked for money for military construction, Congress said no, and he then...
The meaning of the statute, Chris, is clear on its own terms. If you don't like the statute, or members of Congress don't like the statute...
Would you agree the answer is no? There hasn't been a single case like this.
Would this administration rather live in a world where the president's the only one in charge, period?
Well, they would. But the question now for members of Congress is, do they want to live in that world? And what you heard in that exchange is that, in fact, Stephen Miller can't cite a single precedent. This is unprecedented. We have never had a situation where the president invoked a declaration of emergency for a non-emergency, admitting that he didn't necessarily have to do it, and uses that emergency as an excuse to spend money that was specifically and intentionally not appropriated by the Congress of the United States. So Stephen Miller could not spin that.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.